identify your location. And if you wish to be recognized, kindly raise your hand and wait for the chair to acknowledge you before speaking. As this is a formal hearing, kindly address the chair as Mr. Chair and refer to the senators as Your Honor. When speaking, please do so directly into the microphone to ensure clarity and accurate recording. Finally, our hearing will be from 10 a.m. to 12 noon only. We respectfully request our panelists to be brief and concise to ensure a smooth and efficient discussion. Thank you.
Good morning, gandang umaga sa ating lahat. We'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Maraming salamat. We resume the hearing on Senate Bill 1330. The Committee on Science and Technology, joint with the Committee on Finance, held its first hearing last October 2, and we also had a technical working group last October 23. So magandang umaga po muli, and we're now calling the Committee on Science and Technology hearing to order. We're here to tackle Senate Bill 1330, an act mandating the full disclosure of government transactions through the establishment of a digital public ledger system to enhance transparency, accountability, and public participation in the Philippine budget, also known as the Cadena Act. Muli, nagpapasalamat po tayo sa lahat ng mga eksperto, ng mga grupo at mga individual na sumusuporta sa ating pong pagbuo ng panukalang batas na ito. Isang buwan na po mula nung ating unang hearing at napakahalaga ng input at mga pananaw ng bawat grupo na nandito at mga grupo na wala rin dito pero nagbigay ng kanilang mga position paper. We've tackled some issues on legislating particular technologies, sovereign hosting infrastructure, among many other topics that we were able, hopefully, to address in the current version of the bill. Sa dulo po ng lahat, iisa pa rin ang pinagalaban po natin. Transparency, accountability, at sa pagiging bukas sa pagbusisi ng budget ng ating gobyerno na siya pong pera ng taong bayan. Solusyon at serbisyo para sa taong bayan, yan po yung hangarin ng batas na ito at siyempre po para labanan ng korupsyon. Ang Cadena Act ay isa sa pinakaklarong paraan para mabantayan ng taong bayan ang paggastos ng kanilang buwis. Isa po sa paraan doon ay ang paggamit ng blockchain o ng iba pang mga teknolohiya na pwede pong siguraduhin na sagrado ang datos na ito. Gagamitin po natin ang pinakaakmang teknolohiya para maitulak ang transparency at ang tamang pananagutan. Sa ating pong batas, may paraan ang taong bayan para makita kaagad kung saan at paano ginagastos ang kanilang buwis at ang pera ng bayan. Sa ating pong batas, nasa tao ang kapangyarihan na bantayan ng kanilang gobyerno, ang pagbulatlat ng mga pinagagastusan hanggang sa presyo ng materyales. Yan po ang level of transparency na hinahanap po natin at yan din po ang pinakamalakas nating sandata laban po sa korupsyon at sa pagnanakaw sa ating bansa. Siyempre po, alam natin, karapatan ng bawat Pilipino na malaman kung saan napupunta ang kanilang pinaghirapan, pinagkayuran at pinagpuyatan na buwis. Karapatan po ng bawat Pilipino malaman kung saan nagagamit ang pera ng bayan. Kaya kung seryoso po tayo sa laban sa korupsyon, simulan po natin sa pinakasimpleng solusyon. Ipakita po sa taong bayan kung saan napupunta ang pinaghirapang pera po nila. Maraming salamat at handa na po tayo para simulan ang ating hearing. So at this point, we'd like to request Ms. Tenny to acknowledge the presence of our resource persons. You don't need to stand up or raise your right hand. This is not a blue ribbon hearing, so don't worry. You can just raise your hand, no, and be acknowledged by the committee secretary.
Good morning and thank you, Mr. Chair. So for today's public hearing, we are joined by the following panelists from the government agencies. From Department of Information and Communications Technology, we have USEC David Almirol, USEC for Support Services, and ASEC Luis Miguel B. Planas, Assistant Secretary for Internal Systems. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Attorney Nihal Abdulraf Pakalna, Department Legislative Liaison Specialist. From the Department of Finance, Ms. Angelica Sarmiento, Assistant Secretary for Policy Development and Management Services Group. From DOST Advanced Science and Technology Institute, we have Dr. Franz De Leon, the Director. From Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, we are joined by Ms. Jovelyn Hao, Deputy Director for Technology Risk and Innovation Supervision Department. From the SEC Philippine Tech Innovation Office, we are joined by Attorney Paolo Montaño Ong, Assistant Director. From the private sector and other groups, from Dayani Chain Ventures, we have Mr. Paul Soliman, CEO. From Blockchain Council of the Philippines, we have Ms. Gail Macapagal, Trustee. Attorney Marco Riseta will be joining us later. From Bitsquela, we have Mr. Giro Luis Reyes, CEO. From Philippine Association of Fintech Lawyers, we have Attorney Glyme Brian Eran, the chairman, and Attorney Daniel Fordan, vice chairman. From the Philippine Computer Society, we are joined by Mr. Edmundo Toti Casino, board secretary. From the UP Center of Blockchain Research and Applications, or COBRA, we have Professor Adrian Roy Valdez, who will also be representing UP Engineering Research and Development Foundation, Incorporated. From Alliance of Tech Innovators for the Nation, or ATIN, we have Mr. Monchito Ibrahim, lead convener and president. From Cadena Foundation, we are joined by Ms. Ann Quisha, trustee. From Traction Tech, we have Dr. Al Villarica, Chief Blockchain Officer. From Integria Technologies, Mr. Gil Orense, its co-founder and CEO. And from InsightGov, we are joined by Ms. Marilu Marge Ibanez, its Executive Director. Also for the record, Mr. Chair, we also have confirmed attendance from DOJ, Mr. Vida, but he will be coming at a later time also, Mr. Jiggy Kalukag, Mr. Cesar Ditan. And we also invited FinTech Alliance PH. Unfortunately, Ms. Ida Tiongson has prior engagement, as well as Atindahan's Mr. Mark Ruiz. Dr. Emerson Banyas of UP Law and Mr. Christian Pullman of Ateneo Blockchain Laboratories are both out of the country. That is all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tenny. Are there other groups who are here? I know that some of the people supporting the groups here are here in the back. Pero kung may mga grupo po dito who wish to speak also, you may occupy the seats here in the front. Maybe Mr. Edu Manzano might want to join us here. No, si Tito Edu is here to observe. We'd like to welcome Sir Edu and si Sir Mark, our good friends, no, for observing here. I'm hoping River Maya might come up with a song about blockchain one day, Mr. Escueta. No, but if there are other groups here who want to speak, you can occupy the seats here. This is a public hearing. Ano naman po, malaya tayong magsalita po dito. Just approach the committee secretary so we can print your nameplate. No? Okay, so what are we doing today? So this is our second hearing. Nakapag first hearing na po tayo, we were able to do a TWG as well. The TWG, thank you to all of the people who joined the TWG. Napakayaman po ng mga lumabas sa TWG. And I think everyone here has a copy of our latest version. So maybe I'll take a step back and share with you the legislative process. So ang ginagawa po natin ngayon ay mga hearing. Ang output nito ay committee report. So that's the Committee on Science and Technology report, which may be very different. And right now, as you can see, it's very different from what we filed. So this report, we intend to sponsor on November 12. And if you wish to join us as we sponsor this bill, you're all very welcome. Just inform the Secretariat. And I hope to sponsor this bill on November 12. On November 12, after the sponsorship, the period of interpolations will start, and other senators are now free to question different aspects of the bill. Yun po yung napapanood po natin usually sa YouTube na nagtatanungan yung mga senador. Pagkatapos po niyan, ibubukas ang period of amendments. And other senators may choose to amend or choose to suggest revisions in our current draft. At that point, the chairman, which is myself, and the sponsor may choose to accept or not. No? If we don't accept it, usually it's called to a vote, and the senators vote on the amendments. Once that's done, then there's a second reading vote, and kapag napasa na on second reading, usually third reading is just ministerial after a few days, then that's the Senate version. As we're speaking, there's also a congressional counterpart that needs to also move. No? We have at least 6 versions in the House that were filed for this, and I also have been able to speak to the leadership of the House, and they seem interested, or at least supportive, no? Maybe I can say supportive with what we want from this bill. So, timeline po nito is probably abot na tayo nito ng December or January, and honestly, if we're able to pass this first quarter of 2026, that's light speed in terms of getting a bill passed. No? Tama, no, Ms. Tenny? Mabilis po yun. But ako po, everybody here, everybody supporting the bill, we know the urgency of what we want to pursue. And ang goal po natin is that by 2026, the budget and all of the other government transactions, especially the transactions kung saan natago yung trilyong piso na ninakaw sa atin, ay mabubulat-lat na sa taong bayan. Hindi na parang ngayon na nagugulat tayo, hinihintay natin yung mga hearing bago mabanggit sino yung mga kontraktor, magkano yung mga presyo, nasaan yung mga proyekto. By passing this bill, we are then mandating that all of this data is out there, even without asking for it. Kahit hindi na tatanungin, hindi na i-request sa DPWH yung mga kontrata at yung mga proyekto, automatically ilalabas na siya. And many groups here, like People's Budget Coalition, Insight Gov, and so many groups here and those that are watching us, alam nila na ang pinakamahalaga ay open to the public ang mga dokumentong ito. No? So, that's the timeline. Once Congress passes their own version, it will go into a BICAM. And in the BICAM, that's also another opportunity where provisions may get amended or changed. No? So, ang point ko lang is that there's at least 3 or 4 more steps before the bill is finalized. And every step of the way, may opportunity to improve the bill. Of course, meron ring threat to defeat the bill. And somebody might insert a self-defeating provision or a provision that might create delay. Kaya binabantayan po namin yung mga provisions that might create delay in terms of implementing the bill or implementing the law when it becomes a law. So if you notice, as much as we opened up to many suggestions with regard to proper usage of terms and technologies, we have tried to keep it as simple as possible para wala tayong reason na madedelay yung paggawa nitong batas na ito kapag batas na siya. And everything you add, in fact, there was a suggestion, I think it was from Anne, about information literacy campaign regarding the bill. Sorry, from Bitskwela. Bitskwela is over there. We took it out. Kasi baka sabihin nila, we can't implement kung wala pa tayong information dissemination campaign. So tinanggal namin. There were other suggestions about this and that. We tried to keep it as simple as possible so that there won't be any obstacles to implementation. And syempre, bilang mga legislador, alam rin po namin ano yung mga provision na ginagamit para magkaroon ng delay. So tinanggal po natin yan. And that's our years of experience in legislation that's going to go there. No? So hopefully, we can all come together. And again, there are many, many more steps before this is done. And kung may maisip po kayong bago na baka magandang ma-refine natin yung mga words or may salita na baka ma-misunderstand, baka pwede nating i-define na mas maganda, marami pa tayong steps. So, hindi naman po siya yung tipo na finish or not finish, pass your papers, no? Matagal pa yon. That's actually the BICAM. So hanggang sa BICAM, may opportunity pa tayo to improve this further. But habang nag-i-improve tayo, binabantayan rin natin ano yung mga posibleng ilagay dyan na makapagtitigil dun sa batas or makapag-pepreno dun sa ating hinahanap na momentum, no, para sa transparency. For those here who have been working with us for some time, makikita nyo naman yung version na ito. The most important part is really phase 1. No? Phase 1 basically mandates that all of the documents in Section 5 that we have detailed needs to be out and posted and published by the government agencies. Yun yung pinakamahalaga. Because once you have that, and it's interoperable, it's structured, na-memorize ko na po yung mga suggestions po ninyo. Interoperable, digitally structured, verifiable, with verifiable timestamps, and we have the wording correct. Kapag yan po, nailabas na ng DPWH, DepEd, DOH, and the top agencies, then I think a majority of our work is actually done. Because the watchdog groups, the academe, the different groups, kapag yung data na yan interoperable na, pwede nang magamit yan for further analysis, pwede nang magamit yan para mailabas talaga yung katotohanan sa mga kontratang ito. Yung phase 2 and phase 3, of course, is trying to put it in a more secure way. And it was debated in the TWG. Is it going to be blockchain? Is it going to be other technologies? Honestly, ang goal lang namin is secured yung data na ito. And we are pushing for decentralization because a decentralized mechanism will mean it's more secure also, rather than a centralized mechanism. All of that, kung ano yung mismong technology, kasi there have been a lot of talk about baka may napili na daw ng mga vendors na gagawa nito. Lahat po yan, iniiwan ho namin yan sa implementor. That's not up to us. That's not up to the law. That's up to the implementors. But even during the implementation phase, and the ICT will have a big role, of course, ASEC Miggy and USEC Dave are here, babantayan rin natin yan. And we will make sure that that process is very transparent and that we will allow real groups to really bid for it. In fact, I'm posing the challenge now. Kung may mga grupo po dito who want to see this through, why don't you bid for it at zero cost? We've got different groups here. Some are private sector, some are academe, some are NGOs. Bid for it at zero cost. Kung yan ang concern ng mga raming tao. No? I know that we've also been working with groups like SGV, groups to have a lot of resources also. Come together. Let's do this. Baka pwede natin itong gawin. Citizens action talaga. Why not? Napakatalino po ng mga tao na nandito. No? Maybe that's something we can look forward to. But that will happen much, much, much later on. After the law is passed, after the IRR is made, dun pa lang po gagawin yan. No? Kung sino ba talaga yung grupo. That's phase 2 and phase 3. And if you look at the timeline in the current version, that's within 2 years and within 3 years. But what we want to see within 2026 is really phase 1, which is all of the documents that are detailed in Section 5, and People's Budget Coalition supported us with the different listing, DBM supported us with a different listing of documents, na lahat yan available na sa publiko by next year. If we're able to get this passed by the first quarter of 2026, sa timeline po natin na phase 1, lahat ng mga data na yan, mga dokumentong yan, should be available to the public already, even before the end of 2026. At ang nilagay ho natin, and I'm sure marami ho nagulat, narinig ko during the TWG, naglagay ho tayo ng mga penalty. Kung may mga dokumento na hindi po na-publish ng ahensya sa kanilang website, and I'm talking about phase 1, within the time allotted, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's now at 7 days, no? At 7 days, the responsible officer will be penalized administratively. If after 30 days, hindi pa napopost yung kontrata, yung bill of materials, kung sino yung nagwaging contractor, it then becomes a criminal offense. And this is the first time in our history na maglalagay tayo ng criminal offense sa mga hindi mag-share ng data na nakalagay sa ating batas. If found that what was hidden na kontrata is fraudulent, then the responsible officer for sharing that data can be charged as a co-conspirator of the groups who are involved in the fraudulent activity. Mabigat po yan. Mabigat po yan. And I know that many government workers gusto rin po nila gawin yung tama, gusto rin po nila gawin yung hinahanap ng taong bayan na malinis na gobyerno. And I know that many of these government workers, yung mga director level at yung mga responsable po sa mga gantong klaseng mga transaksyon, many of them want to do the right thing. And I'm sure, even though it might be difficult in the beginning, kasi, added work po yan, ang hinahanap ng taong bayan, mailabas natin yung mga kontratang yan, mailabas natin yung mga bill of materials na yan para makita ng taong bayan. We also put, since nakikita ko si Yusek Dave, talagang nakapokus sa akin, we also put in the bill that Cadena can be integrated with the eGov app, and maybe we can just have one portal for all of government, no? Which is one of the goals of the ICT. Na itong mga datos na ito, mahahanap mo rin siya sa mga app na currently ginagawa na ng gobyerno. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are many different initiatives already, from eGov to PhilJeps and all of that. But ito pong gusto natin na mailabas yung kung saan ginagamit ang pera ng bayan, yan po yung pinaka-primary na nais po natin makita. No? So that's just an overview for everyone today. I hope we're all on the same page. For today, I will ask Jose, our legislative staff officer who's the one directly handling the bill, to go through every part. No? So nung last time mo kasi, last hearing natin, overview talaga siya. We requested everyone to talk about the benefits of a secure platform, the benefits of having data out there. And I'd like to thank all of the resource speakers from the last hearing. But today we're going to go a little technical. We're going to go per part. And then every part, we're going to open the floor for discussion. We'll limit it to about 5 minutes. So, ano po to? Unahan? Okay? Yung pinaka merong gustong sabihin, just raise your hand. We will call you for every part. It's not really provision by provision or line by line. It's part by part. No? So, we're going to chunk it into different salient points. Magsasalita po tayo for about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Kung meron pa kayong gustong ibanggit, we can accept it in paper later on. No? There might be some parts which are more interesting than others, so baka hahabaan po natin ng konti yung oras. But we're gonna do that, and I hope to finish by 12. Okay? So we'll hope to finish by noontime. Last time, nag-overtime tayo ng mga 45 minutes. No? So this time, we'll try to finish by 12. But don't worry, kung di po kayo nakapagsalita sa mic, we can accept your suggestions on paper. And as you've seen, we have been trying our best to really accommodate all of the suggestions from all of the experts. Okay, so I'm going to pass the floor to Jose, and I'll manage the back and forth for the Q&A. Jose.
All right, good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for their contribution in the crafting of this latest version of the bill. It's been a long journey for me, at least, since we first filed back in September, and I think this is reflected in how different and improved the current version of the bill is. So, without next slide, please. Today, I would like next slide. Today, I would like to introduce to you the Cadena Act. The objective of this presentation is to give a view of the latest version of the bill, which is very much different from the first filing version. So, what does Cadena stand for? It stands for Citizen Access and Disclosure of Expenditures for National Accountability. Thi- This bill represents a landmark step in our country's push for open government. It mandates that all transactions involving public funds are recorded in a secure, verifiable, and publicly accessible platform. So yeah. So for this section, section 2, the declaration of policy, this section outlines the guiding philosophy of the law. The transparency and accountability are cornerstones of democracy. Cadena operationalizes these values through technology. It institutionalizes honesty in governance by requiring that all budget documents be made publicly available. In other words, transparency will no longer depend on voluntary disclosure of PDFs and other documents. It will be built into the system itself, automated, and verifiable by design. Next slide, please. For section 4, this section
We skipped the Section 3 definition of terms because that's the newest one. We just finalized it yesterday. So anyway, we'll route it later. Or it's routed already.
it's been routed to the
Okay, to everybody.
Okay.
We'll bring it up again later. Sige, go.
So section 4 defines who and what this act covers. It applies to all national government departments, bureaus, offices, agencies, and instrumentalities, including GOCCs and their subsidiaries. The law also extends to programs funded through PPPs and foreign assisted projects, but only portions that use disbursement that use disbursement
From People's Budget Coalition, Mr. Jiggy Calukag, Government Relations Director from Tuala, and Attorney Mark Gorisete from Blockchain Council of the Philippines. Thank you.
Welcome. Sige, kung, again, I will reiterate, hindi naman po to finish or not finish master paper. You can still write us again after. But does anybody want to discuss sections 2 and 4? Yes, AJ.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had one minor small suggestion. If we could include the word proactive in the declaration of policy for proactive disclosure.
Okay. Carried.
down to this program, the GAA down to disbursement vouchers and audit reports. It mandates that all documents related to the national budget process from preparation to execution must be uploaded and disclosed through to the Cadena system. So one of the points that's important to mention is the head of the procuring entity or HOPE is designated as the accountable officer responsible for ensuring that all required budget data are disclosed. These documents, as Mr. Chair mentioned earlier, must be published within 7 days from their approval, issuance, or completion, whichever comes first. More importantly, any corrections or updates made to these records must be versioned, meaning earlier entries are retained to preserve traceability and auditability. In short, Section 5 turns transparency into a legal obligation, ensuring that every agency consistently publishes accurate and verifiable budget data that the public can access.
Can you read for the record nga all of the documents that we now refer to as public budget data?
Next slide, please. So these are all the documents. Yeah. From budget preparation, budget call, budget preparation forms submitted by agencies through the online submission of budget proposal portal, national expenditure program, budget of expenditure and sources of financing, president's budget message, letter B, budget legislation documents, General Appropriations Bill or GAB versions, individual, committee, and bicameral amendments, the General Appropriations Act, and then C, budget execution and fund release documents, agency-level budget execution documents, disbursement vouchers, registry of allotments, obligations, and disbursements, fund utilization reports, allotment release orders, notices of cash allocation, other fund release documents, including cash disbursement ceilings, CDCs, multi-year contractual authority, and others. Now for D, which is a focus on infrastructure and procurement-related documents. This includes bid announcements and invitations to bid, notices of award and notices to proceed, contracts and purchase orders, program of works, bill of quantities, detailed unit price analysis, records of competing bids, inspection and acceptance reports, delivery receipts, disbursement vouchers, progress billings, and completion certificates, corporate and beneficial ownership disclosures, certifications of good standing, and other related documents. For letter E, budget accountability documents, agency financial statements, COA annual audit reports, agency action plan and status of implementation, agency performance review reports and budget and financial accountability forms, and lastly, records of oversight hearings, performance audits, and corrective action reports.
Thank you, Jose. as Jose mentioned earlier, this is the backbone of the bill, no? Kasi ito po dito nakalagay ano yung mga dokumento na dapat ilalabas ng mga ahensya. Most of this actually is DBM, right? DBM would have most of this data until you go into the specific fund use of every agency. If you want to use the current flood control scandal as our reference, agad-agad makikita ka agad sino yung mga nagbid, magkano yung na-award sa kanila, magkano yung mga kontrata, saan, magkano yung mga sementong gagamitin nila, yung bakal na alam nating overpriced by anywhere from 30 to 100%. Nakikita natin sino yung mga nag-compete na baka mga dami rin lang o mga pare-parehas lang ng mga kumpanya. And even up to the progress billing. During the privileged speech of Senator Lacson, they were able to uncover that the progress billing of some of these flood control projects na bigay na 100%, meaning considered completed na siya kahit wala pa talagang nagagawa. Can you imagine if now all of that data will be available to the public? Kung makikita ng kahit sinong mamamayan yung data na yan, makikita nila 0, 30, 50, 100%, and those reports have corresponding pictures. And if our watchdogs here can connect to satellite technology, you can even verify it on your own. I think yesterday or the other day, DPWH had a MOA signing with the Philippine Space Agency for that purpose. So all of this will be out there for the public to see. Now, yung isang concern ng mga grupo initially was, what about garbage in, garbage out? Eh kung nagsisinungaling naman yung report, well, kung nagsisinungaling kayo, pwede kayo makulong. That's the answer to that. Kung nagsisinungaling kayo, kung maglalagay kayo dito ng garbage in or yung maling data, pwede kayo makulong. And later on, we'll look at Section 17 or 16 about penalties. Makikita natin na mabigat yung mga penalty for the agencies and the officers who are putting in fraudulent data. No? So before I move on, may I ask our government watchdogs like PBC, maybe Insight Gov, DBM, tama naman yung mga nakalagay na dokumento dito, di ba? Meron pa bang kulang? Meron ba kaming na-miss out na mga dokumento na dapat nakalagay rin dito? Yes, Ms. Pacalna.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and to everyone present. As to the itemized type of documents on the draft, tama naman ito, Mr. Chair. Although under item C, budget execution and fund release documents, we respectfully suggest for the committee to consider including the national budget circular that we release on the guidelines on the release of funds for the current fiscal year. This will provide a lighthouse and understanding to the public kung paano ni-release yung funds after the General Appropriations Act is passed or enacted. So that is also an important document that will provide information to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Yun lang? Mayroon pa ka bang gusto idagdag or hanggang dun muna?
At this juncture, yun po muna, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, salamat. AJ, you have anything else to add here? We got the initial list from PBC actually, so you may want to talk about this section.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po. I think the listed documents are correct. I think it's a good start, but we're realizing that as we're compiling our documents, then marami pang ibang na-miss out. So we're hoping that there's also a catch-all provision any other documents. Now, I'm not sure if it has to be in this bill or if we would like to pursue a different freedom of information and full disclosure bill.
No, it's here.
Okay.
We have other, yeah, we have section F, no, other documents. In fact, the council that will be formed, co-chaired by DBM and DICT, can also mandate further documents in the future. But, again, kung di kasi nakalagay sa batas, it's better to really put it. No? So kung meron kayong maisip pa, magandang ma-raise nyo na ninyo para malagay natin siya. Kasi yung mga others to follow, that's usually not good legislation. It's better to be very specific.
Sige po, I have several points pa po.
Yeah, go.
Some comments, could we integrate possibly the idea of having the identification system, like the UAX code, the Prexy codes, as part of this provision or another provision?
Yes, we can include that. Yeah. We mentioned UX naman talaga,
Yes.
but to parang the legend,
Yes.
yung what the UX and what it exactly means, no?
Yes.
Yeah, I think DBM, that's publicly available data naman, no? Miss Pakalna, di ba? Yung UX, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And does that change? Or nagbabago ba yung UX? Or that's it na, di ba?
May revisions kapag may yes.
May bagong items.
Yes, which
Okay.
is decided by the DBM, the COA, together with the DOF.
Okay, so the legend of UX, no? Okay, kung ano yung ibig sabihin niya, we can include that.
Because we noticed, Mr. Chair, thank you, it might not necessarily be interoperable with other data standards like the PSGC that the Philippine Statistics Authority uses, yung Philippine Standard Geographic Code. So what we noticed, for example, iba yung coding with the UAX pag regional or provincial sa PSGC na ginagamit ng PSA. So we might want to think about how to make these all interoperable.
Yes. Yan ang sakit ng ulo ni Yusek Dave actually. Yung magkakaibang, tama ba Yusek Dave? Yung magkakaibang mga terminologies ng iba't ibang ahensya. But eGov is trying to consolidate that, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Actually, since we already passed the e-governance act, part of that act is to allow the ICT to implement standardization, including to our terms and the descriptions later on, the mga technicalities, Mr. Chair.
So that law is already working on that.
Yes. Mr.
Okay. So by the way, let me just also explain. The scope of the bill is really for full disclosure of documents and to secure these documents. No, there are other laws that are trying to computerize and digitalize our government system. I think the eGov Act was that law. There are other laws also that tackle other parts of the government. But a law is best when it's really very clear in its scope. So ito yung conversation ko with Sec Henry and Yusek Dave na may goals ang DICT, may goals ang eGov, may goals ang gobyerno sa efficiency, maybe DBM and DOF are part of that. What we're trying to focus on is just one part of that larger goal. But this is the part that is the most important when it comes to fighting corruption. Okay? So we're not trying to do everything. Okay? We're not trying to digitalize government because there are other groups and other laws that are already trying to do that. What we're trying to do is to make transparent all of the documents needed so the people know where their money is going and to secure that further. Yun yung goal ng bill natin, no? So, yes, so AJ, yes, importante yan. And yes, another law is doing that already. And yes, we will talk about UX in the bill, but forcing them to consolidate, I think, is beyond the scope of this particular bill. But if we need a law on that, no, eGov is already there, no? Yun yung nakalagay sa eGov, di ba, no? Yusek Dave. Yes, so,
Yes,
there's-
Mr. Chair.
so may batas na para dyan. Sige. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think one last point on this section of the bill. When we looked at the data on the procurement system, awarded contracts, our estimate is that awarded contracts only accounts for about 20 to 30% of the GAA, and the ABC data is about only 50 to 60%. So may malaki pang part ng GAA that is not covered by the procurement system. So for example, salaries and allowances of personnel, mga pension, mga debt servicing, mga automatic appropriations, mga non-procured items, and even ayuda, for example, yung mga soft programs. That's why we've been advocating for opening the ayuda lists as well. So we hope that that can also be accounted for in this kind of measure.
So yes, I do intend to include the ayuda lists here because eventually, with eGov and with the national ID system, we should be sure na lahat ng binibigyan ng ayuda at scholarship ay totoong tao. And I think our push for transparency, because we're spending hundreds of billions in our dole-out programs, correct, DBM, no? Aabot ng 100 billion yan pag i-add mo lahat ng mga dole-out programs. Mahalaga na makita natin na totoong tao talaga at na totoong nangangailangan ang mga pinagbibigyan ng mga iba't ibang ayuda ng gobyerno. So yes, let us include that here. The DBM documents will already include the debt servicing kasi that's already part of the budget, no? Kasama na siya. But yes, I do agree that we should have, if we need to be more explicit about it, we should have it here. Yung salaries, I'm okay also with it. Siguro lang, we just have to look at data privacy because we're looking at specific individuals already. We also put a provision here that we have to be in line with the current DPS, no? The current Data Privacy Act. So nothing in the law should contravene the Data Privacy Act. But yes, I agree that even if it's I guess okay lang naman na, can I find out nga, let me solicit some support here from the government agencies. Yung mga listahan ng mga binibigyan, kunyari scholarship, di ba? Is that publicly, that should be public data already, right? Tama, di ba? Kapag nabibigyan ka ng tulong ng gobyerno, does that become public data? Anybody have an answer to that? Or is there any data privacy concerns? Sa mga lawyers natin, may mga, ano ba kayo dyan? Any data privacy experts here? Anyway, we'll look into that if that's contravening the Data Privacy Act. Okay, so may phone a friend ako dito na pwede mag-data minimization with regard to addresses, names. But ako, for me, personally, if you're getting support from government, I think your name then becomes publicly available data. No, we'll check that. But thank you for that suggestion. We'll consider that. We have been requesting. Okay. Yes. So we have been requesting PBC for the updated list, so you can submit that na lang. Are you finished, AJ? Thank you. Yes, ASEC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a rejoinder lang po doon sa question po ni AJ regarding po doon sa, like for example, yung names po ng mga scholars, awardees natin. I know for a fact sa DOST, yung mga scholars, they publish yung mga names ng mga awardees for that particular year. But for the listahanan, I believe there was also a request before from TSWD to publish nga when they're trying to reconcile nga kung sino ba talaga yung nabibigyan during the pandemic. And I think they didn't push through with the publication because of sensitive information. Like for example, yung mga families na nakakatanggap ng ayuda, of course, they don't want to be like sabihin na tumatanggap sila ng ayuda from the government. And this is my social status. And so, hindi po na publicly available. But you can request actually from the SWD, verify yung mga recipients and also sa mga LGUs. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I guess we'll have to tackle that in relation to the Data Privacy Act also. But thank you for the suggestion. No? We'll try to include that. Sige, we'll have Anne, and then Paul, and then si Sir Toti, Prof. Toti, and then si Prof. Adrian. But let's keep it short.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, good morning. To the point of AJ Montesa, we've actually added additional language to that. Disclosure shall include linkage identifiers or references sufficient to trace each appropriation, obligation, and disbursement. And this is for the agencies to ensure that shall ensure that budget cycle data sets are interlinked and reconcilable, to your point, Mr. Chair, a while ago, allowing citizens to trace the full flow of funds from authorization to actual expenditure and results achieved. So we'll just send that to Sir Jose.
Thank you, Anne. Salamat. Paul?
Mr. Chair, since we're talking about automation, I think everything here is more of like, you know, there are policies there. We would want to see also a, you know, every public document should be on the source code. Since we're open sourcing the source code, we want that, like, you know, as we maintain it in the IRR, but technically there should be some provision there, like what we call smart contract, that, you know, we should put every public document that was decided already. So people can see that kung may kulang pa o wala na nasubmit.
Ang tracker?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sige, we'll consider if we need to put that in the law or sa implementation na lang yan. No? Maybe sa IRR na lang. Thank you, Paul. Prof. Toti.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. in section 5, when you have all those documents, you're talking about tons of information. I would like to speak for on behalf of the non-IT literate. It would be very difficult for them to navigate and looking for where these documents are connected to. So maybe we would insert the term ease of navigation or ease of navigability. Para kasi some of the government websites and web portals are not easy to look around, not easy to search. So for the non-IT literate, you know, for them to, since it's a citizen access, require or mandate all government web portals to have ease of navigation, to find out where to look for this data that they're looking for, yung mga tabs and all of that support. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Prof. So yes, we can include the language, but syempre, the devil is in the details. That's already in the implementation, no? And Yusek Dave and I and Sec Henry actually had some discussions about the UI. It's not yet here. Matagal pa yan. IRR pa yan, tsaka implementation. But maybe Yusek Dave, you can share a few words.
Yeah. I totally agree, Mr. Chair and Sir. No? And I discussed this during our last technical working group meeting, where we need to focus on what the people can understand. You know, sometimes if we're so technical, I think we're going to confuse the non-techie Filipinos. No, so part of the discussion, Mr. Chair, during the last meeting, just to repeat, is to come up with a very historical mode. So it's a story to tell. So from the putting of the data sa GAA, you know that this is how much na award, sinong pinag-awardan, sinong contractor, anong nangyari doon, pumalpak na ba, delayed na ba, natapos na ba, sinong naglagay ng completed, sinong nag-imbestiga na hindi completed, si COA pag nagpasok, si DPWH pag nagpasok. So it's historical mode. So sa mata ng tao, napakasimple sa kanya. So mula doon sa simula hanggang doon sa nangyayari, so meron siyang historical na mangyayari. So we will really focus on that, sir, on the UI side, so that the user interface will be so easy to understand and navigate by the Filipino people.
Thank you, Yusek. I understand previously in the past, the ICT they used to have a template for websites for all government agencies. Is that still in effect? A certain standard template for all government websites. Is that still in effect?
There was an old one, Mr. Chair, but so complicated as well. And there's a new one now that we currently implemented called the eWeb Builder. So it's a new, if you navigate vir.gov.ph, dict.gov.ph, cfo.gov.ph, isa na po yung itsura niya. Isa na yung itsura niya. Dati kasi parang everyone would like to have their own looks of website na mahirap gamitin. So we're focusing on the UI UX module so that when people will browse into it, it will
It's
be
the
so
same.
easy.
So
We have a new one, sir, that
So
we're
it's the same. So
implementing.
whatever government agency they go through, they know the features. They know
Yeah,
for.
Prof, just acknowledge the chair, please.
Sorry, Mr. Prof.
Sorry, yeah, that's really how it goes here. So, Yusek, thank you. Prof, you have another question? Yes, sige. So this is, definitely this is something important, but it's really not right now. No? Kasi mahaba-haba pa itong prosesong to, hopefully by next year. But I hope that this group that's been really actively working on this will also help us with the UI and the UX. No? I think the ICT, who, if you notice in the law, has been tasked with really shepherding this. I hope that they will continue having their doors open to all of us to really go up to the implementation phase. No. By the way, one thing I'm actually imagining, Prof. Toti, is not just looking at the website, but really looking at how citizens can help analyze this data through our AI and chat assistants, no? Our AI assistants, or AI, what do you call that? Our agents, no? Our AI agents. So once the data, and again, we're careful with the language, structured, open source, all of this, diba? Then once it's uploaded, you can ask the help of AI to help you analyze this data. Even going as far as saying, you know, I'm from Bantayan Island, Cebu. How many classrooms are being built there this year? And that should come out, no? That data should be there. How many were completed? How much was the cost? How much was magkano yung semento na ginamit sa classroom dito sa aking barangay? That data should be available if we do our job right. No? Tama, I'm correct, no? Asik Mingi, correct, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So if we do the job correctly and the data is correctly uploaded with the proper the proper characteristics, then that's something I think that we can look forward to. So actually, Prof, what I imagine is less people going on the website, more people asking their AI agents regarding the budget, no? And comparing commercial data with the data that's already online because of this act. No? Anything else, Prof. Toti? Sige, Prof. Adrian, and then si Ms. Malu, last point. Let's go to another section already.
Yes,
Prof.
Mr.
Adrian.
Chair. Balikan ko lang yung mga requested documents. May we request na isamang engineering design for the infrastructure para at least pwede
Okay.
nating ma-review.
Thank you. Ms. Malu, Ms. Mary Lou.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, we support AJ's proposal on ayuda. Pero baka mas madali talaga kung yung ayuda wala sa program at ipasok dun sa regular programs ng agencies. Ang hirap talaga i-trace yung kung wala sa program yung mga hahanaping pondo. So, yan.
DBM, Ms. Pacalna, right now in 2026, it's not in the unprogrammed, right? It's in the program because it's in the GAA, right? Ang lahat ng ayuda, AIX, TUPAD, lahat ng yan, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Was it in the unprogrammed in previous years? Sige, ASEC Sarmiento, since she is shaking her head.
Mr. Chair, I think it's always in the program.
Oh, Ms. Marilu, my understanding is that it's in the program. Meron bang ayuda na, are you aware of any dole-out program that was in the unprogrammed?
I'm coming from our experience of monitoring the 2026 current GAA na hindi namin matrace kasi PDF yung hawak naming version. So it's just to
Okay.
to check kung talagang hindi yan pumasok sa program.
It's in the programmed. It's not in the unprogrammed. It's there, but you're correct. Kung PDF, it's very difficult to trace. And that's what we're trying to fix, no?
Yes.
That all these documents will be searchable and you can analyze them. Yes, AJ?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the note of unprogrammed, what we noticed in the NEP and the GAA, the programmed part, they all are, for example, the AYUDA programs are complete with codes, UAX codes, Prexi codes, and then the distribution. But when it comes to the unprogrammed, there are catch-all provisions, for example, support for infrastructure projects and social programs that eventually in the status of allotment releases, the PDF report that they're saying, ma-identify yung agency. So for example, some of these programs na pupunta sa DSWD, sa DepEd, but then nawawala yung line item na nandun. So when it comes to unprogrammed, hindi talaga pinapakita yung line itemization. That's why it's an issue for us also that the unprogrammed funds have to be really disaggregated.
Do we need further language to talk about the unprogrammed funds here in Section 5?
I think one of the budget documents that are here is the status of allotment releases. That's where you would see the
all of the lahat ng paglabas ng pera.
Yes.
And that would include even the unprogrammed
unprogrammed.
because the UAX would say unprogrammed.
the problem is the current SAROs or the SARs don't show that these are coming from unprogrammed. So makikita mo yung yung allotment release pero hindi mo na nalaman na galing pala siya sa unprogrammed. It just looks like a regular line item na finand.
But di ba in all of the SARO, Ms. Pacalna, are you Director Pacalna, ASIC Pacalna?
No, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Pacalna?
Yes.
Okay. Hindi ba lahat ng SARO merong yung source, nakalagay doon yung source?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, so sa mga ganyang SARO, ano yung source na nilalagay nila?
So yun nga po yung mahirap, Mr. Chair. Parang when we looked at it, there are certain programs na hindi namin nalaman na galing pala sa unprogrammed ito. So we're not sure exactly walang source po, Mr. Chair, basically.
In the document, blank?
In the document, it
It's
doesn't
blank?
say. It just shows, for example, ang nakita namin ay for the 8-point socioeconomic agenda, because that's one of the catch-all provisions of the unprogrammed appropriations. But if you didn't read that special provision of the UA, you wouldn't know that that specific allotment release is linked to the UA.
Let me reverse the question. With our current language, will that concern be covered by our current language? Or do we need to change our language to cover that concern? O, pwede mo nang pag-isipan. You don't have to answer right now. Pero let's cover that concern with Section 5. Let's find language that will cover that. And baka Ms. Pacalna can help us also, no? So meron siyang source. It's just that the source is so generic Zero, walang source, blanco. So may SARO na walang source, pwede ba yun? Miss Pakal na. Or ngayon hindi na pwede, di ba? Sige.
Um, since I do not fully understand the circumstances of the situation that we're describing.
No, so they're talking about SARO. Di ba lahat ng SARO, nakalagay ko na yung source.
Yes.
Right? But they're saying that there are some SARO na blanco. And this is not for 2026. This is for previous kasi SARO na siya, di ba? So we want to avoid that. In fact, that's something that shouldn't be allowed, honestly, no? So, ang tanong ko is, does the current language of Section 5, lahat matitrace? Di ba? Everything here is connected. I think Yusek Dave, I'm not sure what word he used earlier. Everything is connected. Yung, is it traceability or...
Mr. Chair, actually, this is the one that we've been discussing. Once it's already on nodes, there's no way that it could be it could be changed or altered. So once they entered once, it will be seen by everyone. So andun na po yung traceability immediately, Mr. Chair.
And all the fields need to be completed. Di ka pwede
Correct,
magblanko.
That's why, Mr. Chair, bawal po yung ina-upload lang yung data, no? Kapag pinasok po ni DBM dun sa yung sa GAA example at nakalagay ko anong source doon, kita na po lahat noon.
And pag ibablanko, hindi yun papayagan, di ba?
Hindi papayagan po kasi po yung data field po is required. So there's no such thing po na pwede mong lagyan po ng empty information. Kailangan may laman po yun.
Okay. So does the language currently address that? Does our language currently address that?
Actually, Mr. Chair, kaya nga po, for the simplicity, basta everything technical po siguro, Mr. Chair, my humble suggestion, Mr. Chair, i-discuss po yan sa IRR para
Agree.
po mas maganda. Kasi po, if we gonna add po yung mga technicalities description po sa bill, baka po magtatagal po talaga yung So I
Yeah.
think anything about technicalities po siguro, baka pwede sa IRR na po natin pong pag-usapan, Mr. Chair. Mas simple po.
Sige. Thank you, Ann. And then, sorry, Dr. Al. Sige, I'll allow Dr. Al to speak also. Yes, Ann.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, dun sa kung nasa language ba siya, the main reason why I uttered kanina yung the full flow of funds from authorization to actual expenditure. Dun po makikita yung source up to the time na may spend yung budget. So, it will cover, the language should cover that entire budget cycle
Okay.
from the full flow po.
Thank you, Ann. Dr. Villarica.
Yeah, so I was just, Mr. Chair, I was just commenting on the fact that Anne mentioned kanina that if all the documents could be kind of like hyperlinked to each other, then if you had a SARO there that was missing a source of funds, you can just track which PAP that came from, and then you can basically find out how that. So I think it's with a suggestion from Anne. It should be possible to trace all of that stuff if you can make sure that every single document is kind of like hyperlinked to all the other documents.
Yeah, we'll just look for the language to describe that, no? Yeah, okay. Sige, anything else for Section 5? Sige, quickly na lang. Sige, let's go like this. Attorney Mark, and then si Ma'am, our friend from Ms. Macapagal, and then Prof. Adrian. I'm spending time because Section 5 is really important. So,
Yeah.
sige, Attorney Mark, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, quickly lang, Mr. Chair, baka kasi we'll miss it. We'll probably just have to check further the last paragraph of Section 5 on the disclosure exceptions. We have to revisit lang the language there. Usually kasi, Mr. Chair, as when we draft these laws, data privacy, the reference to the Data Privacy Act may be used to shield, no? Could be misused to hide project beneficiaries, supplier names, or fund flows. So siguro, Mr. Chair, not to go to details, it's sometimes it's overbroad. They will use the Data Privacy Act as reference. So I'd like to clarify lang, of course, Mr. Chair, that as we all would want, public spending and contract data are not personal data. And let's probably limit exceptions strictly to national security. I would also want to reinforce the principle that public money is public data. So siguro to your point earlier, Mr. Chair, we could like ask for help from the data privacy experts on make sure that this will not be used as a shield to defeat our objectives here.
Thank you. We'll take note of that, no? Okay. Yes, Ms. Macapagal.
Yes, Mr. Chair, very quickly. Since we're talking about unprogrammed funds, source of funds, and the Cadena, meaning citizen access and disclosure of expenditures for national accountability, I am wondering, yung mga donation po tuwing tuwing bagyo, tuwing like Ondoy, na galing po sa ibang bansa like Japan or America, saan po yun napupunta and saan po yun nilalagay? And how do we track that? Because it's been my wish po since I started I started into blockchain 2017. Gusto ko po sanang makita yon kasi I saw with my personal eyes na may mga donations na binawi after mag-picture taking. So I want to know kung saan po yun manggagaling at saan mapupunta at sino ang tumatanggap.
Good point. And that's not covered, no? It's not. Sige, we can cover that. DBM or in the DOF? Mayroon bang ano? Is there a log of all of those donations?
So
Meron
sir,
ba?
sa ano po, Mr. Chair, for the donation po, normally po kasi, step 1 po niyan is, dadalhin po dito yan sa Philippines, yung mga goods na i-donate sa atin. So may process po yan sa, yung recipient po will have to apply for, yung mag-donate po sa atin will have to apply for importation, for tax exemption for importation of these items. So DOF has a log of all those coming in na import na mga donated goods. But as to yung sa kung actually na distribute po to sa agency o kung sino po yung recipient, we don't have that. Only the logs of the imported items.
Well, considering that we have a reference to source and we're talking about expenditure, that's also a source, di ba? So we also have reference to PPPs and foreign projects. Maybe we can include donations, no? I guess, no? Yes, Ms. Macapagal.
Very quickly lang, sir, if I may add, please tell Chris Aquino that I miss her dahil pagka may bagyo the next day po, nag-aano na siya, nag-ask na po siya ng donation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Prof. Adrian?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Siguro it's more of a point of inquiry. Kung totoo ba na pag yung isang unprogrammed funds na infrastructure project, hindi na kailangan ng mga upstream documents like, so hindi ko rin alam kung, for example, we're asking for engineering design, we have the impression na pag unprogrammed yung funds,
No.
hindi kailangang isubmit? Hindi
No,
ko siya-
the proper process is everything needs to have all of that paperwork, whether the source is unprogrammed or GAA or donation. Lahat yan kailangan ng tamang paperwork. And the fact that they're not able to produce the right paperwork or maraming shortcut or nadideem completed kahit di pa nagagawa or nagsisimula na kahit wala pa yung program of work, these are all manifestations of illegal behavior. And you can sort of surmise that if projects were done without the necessary paperwork, they were probably done in haste and probably done because somebody is stealing. No? Am I correct, Asek Sarmiento? Correct, di ba?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. So, by the way, DPWH in the last hearing said that they would try to. So I read to them the initial list of Section 5, and they agreed that they will do their best to start posting even by this year. So we'll see. At babantayan naman namin that they do. But if you again go to the section on the phasing, nothing stops agencies to do this already. No, they can already start even if the law is not yet passed. And we actually are encouraging the agencies to start doing this, especially DPWH, even before the law is passed. And binasa ko sa kanila yung section, at the time it was still section 4. No, at the time that we read it to them, I think it was still section 4. Yung letter D, infrastructure and procurement related documents, and Secretary Dizon mentioned that they're already intending to publish this even before the law is passed. So I think there are some agencies that will already start the process. The ICT also has a pilot, I think, no, even before the law is passed, and we're hoping that agencies can already start making their data public. Sige, so let's leave section 5. Unless wala nang iba. Sige, dalawa pa. Okay, sir, sige po, and then si attorney.
Mr. Chair, quick point lang po regarding dun sa...
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. By the way, on the point of Ms. Macapagal, on the third party, there are already some initiative before, like 3 years ago, World Bank already implemented blockchain to provide aid and assistance to the Philippines, Metro Manila flood control, I think. The beneficiaries, DPWH, DSWD, and also LGU. So I think we should also consider third-party funders, grants, loans should be included, or they should be following certain APIs to connect so that their grants and loans will be visible also in the budget.
Thank you, Attorney.
Regarding dun sa SARO na may empty field, baka we can add under Section 6, Data Quality Standards, completeness, para lang ma-include lahat ng field.
Sige, since nasa Section 6 ka na, Attorney, I'll let Jose continue. You can continue with Section 6 and a few sections before we open up again.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Section 6 ensures that all data are digitally structured and machine readable so that anyone from auditors to citizens can analyze them. It also aligns the usage of UACS or UACS, which allows the data from DBM, COA, and other agencies to interact seamlessly, enabling automated verification and analytics. The goal of this section is to transform the raw financial data into usable and actionable information. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, sorry. So now we're at the Section 7 and 8 of the bill, which is the establishment of the digital platform. So Cadena will serve as the online portal where citizens can freely access, search, and download public budget data in a secure, structured, and tamper-evident format. The system uses distributed ledger and secure data technologies or other technologies with a provision for regular review of 3 years by the National Budget Transparency and Accountability Council to keep the technology being used updated with emerging innovations. Cadena will also link with existing systems like IFMIS, BTMS, and PhilGEPS through standardized APIs, creating a single interconnected platform for financial data. At its core, the Cadena is designed with key features: integrity, transparency, redundancy, traceability, validation, security, interoperability, auditability, citizen feedback, and lastly, scalability. So with these features in mind, Cadena wishes to transform the disclosed budget process in Section 5 into a digital and verifiable system.
Sige, we can open the discussion about Section 7 and 8. Yes, Mr. Hill, Mr. Orense. Anyone else? I'm sure marami pa dito. So si Jiro and Ann, and then si Mark. Sige.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. So, Mr. Chair, just a quick clarification and suggestion. The bill defines the use of distributed technology, but not as decentralized, especially for validation, and that distinction matters. While the core features are mentioned in Section 8, without clarity, distributed might be widely interpreted to include systems that are still centrally controlled, where one administrator or group manages all the nodes and can still alter or overwrite records. If one of the intent of Cadena Act is to guarantee trust and transparency by design in disclosing full details of the budget, then the law should make decentralization explicit so validation is shared, not controlled, and every transaction remains tamper-evident and verifiable. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm okay with that. Anyone gonna object on decentralized? Wala naman. Okay, sige, we can carry that. Who else did I call? Si Jiro.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Hello, thank you. I would like to recommend lang po, no, to change the word from tamper-evident to tamper-proof, no? Kasi tamper-evident by definition allows pa rin some centralization to come in as well. Doon po sa ating network, no? For the benefit of those watching online, tamper-evident kasi means that changes can be traced, no? And auditable, yes, which is the core fundamental po ng ating bill. Pero tamper-proof is what allows it to not be editable or changed, no? By any party as well, and inside po. So I'd like to recommend
Would
this,
you object to having both, tamper-proof and tamper-evident? Parang tamper-evident is not a bad, it's not naman necessarily, di ba?
I would suggest to keep it tamper-proof kasi, Mr. Chair, no? Kasi with the word tamper-evident talaga, it leaves some ambiguity.
Sabagay, tamper kasi, sorry, we're getting to specifics ng words, no? But tamper presupposes lack of consent. Di ba?
Yes, correct.
So, we want it tamper-proof, but we want evidence of changes. Is what you're saying, right? Correct, di ba?
Yes, part naman yun ng word ng tamper-proof, Mr. Chair, yes.
Sige, we'll find the right language. Kasi when you say tamper, you're referring to bad actors.
Pagpapalit, yes.
Oo.
Edit, changing, and everything, Mr.
Kasi,
Chair.
so just for the benefit of the people online, inevitably, people will make mistakes, di ba? And it's okay to correct it if you made a genuine mistake as long as nakadetalye kung ano yung changes. That's tamper evident, no? But what you're saying na tamper-proof is hindi siya pwedeng baguhin ng kung sino-sino lang. Di ba? Kailangan may permissions na tama.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and as well as kapag may, pwede namang mag-change ng data, no, in a tamper-proof environment. Pero it has to be an append, no, dun sa ating data. Ibig sabihin, it's a new transaction or entry altogether.
Okay.
Kapag kasi tamper-evident, you can change the source data in that sense.
Okay, I agree with what you're saying. Let's just look for the right words, no?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, let's take note of that na lang, Comsec, kasi we want to reflect that. Yes, Attorney Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So exactly correct, no. To the point of Giro. So we take note that there's no, in this version, this is our third hearing, Mr. Chair. There's no explicit mention or no explicit immutability standard. I understand. To the point of Giro nga, I took note that for me, tamper evident kasi only means changes are detectable, no, not prevented, which would allow still unscrupulous administrators could still rewrite logs or if they control the core database. So the current version, Mr. Chair, which is one of the sections here will take time for today. So far kasi I think if it's not clear, if there's no mention of tamper-proof or immutability, it's my view, Mr. Chair, that maybe we'll be back to square one, where data can still be manipulated. As you mentioned earlier, a law is effective if it is clear in its scope to fight corruption, which is our goal here. I believe, Mr. Chair, and the BCP, well, I'll just speak for myself, that to realize this, the bill must avoid vague, in my view, with due respect, vague definitions of technology like digital platform or database. That's why we were able to get the support of the public, right? Because you were able to share with the public that as of today, that technology that is available to fight corruption is blockchain, right? So I guess that's where we have to discuss or debate about this, Mr. Chair, because like terms like digital platform, digital or database may be too broad. In my view, it can even be the tech experts here can verify further. Baka it could even you can even like say that you can just use basic spreadsheets to do all of these now, Mr. Chair. To support also Giro's point, we propose that the law mandate an append only cryptographically verifiable ledger ensuring immutability of all transactions and versions. So as mentioned, append only is add only to the record. So that, of course, that would be one of the key features of blockchain. So yes, Mr. Chair, so this prevents post facto data manipulation, which is a common concealment tactic in graph cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We'll need your suggestions on writing para specific siya. But one thing that we want to be clear is that we're not legislating technology. We're legislating standards, no? And then we leave it to the implementors when it's time for them to decide on the technology, to decide based on the standards in the law. So one case kasi here is the Clean Air Act, where you outlawed incinerators. So in the 90s, we actually outlawed a technology without knowing that the technology caught up. And now other countries, countries we visit like Tokyo and Singapore, Japan and Tokyo, they're actually using that technology already with practically zero emissions or emissions that fit the standards. or even during the time that the jeepney modernization law was being done, the OTR at the time was mandating particular engines rather than mandating standards, no? So once you mandate a technology, it's really difficult, no? And in fact, it's not the right legislation. So the first version actually mandated legislation, mandated the technology, which we corrected. So now we talk about the standards. But you're correct, dapat rin yung standards malinaw. So we will be clear with the standards, but we will stop short of mandating a technology to make sure that the law can last for 25 to 50 years or even 100 years, no? Because technologies will change. But I do understand that the idea of this law really started with understanding blockchain further. And that was my experience naman when I had my fellowship in the US nung inaral ko rin yung blockchain. So, of course, these days we have different groups saying, oh, we have this technology which is similar to blockchain.
equivalent to the physical, let's say, projects or budget. So I think that's one of the things that you want to stress.
So there were two things, no? Si consensus tsaka si digital shadowing. We didn't go into smart contracts here, Sir Armand, because primarily we want this to be a platform for information. No, hindi pa siya triggers for actions. No, we didn't go there kasi I also feel that if we do that, it will take longer to make. You know, and I want to get this out as soon as we can. No, but that doesn't stop us from building on it a year from now or 2 years from now when Cadena is up and running already, or even from the agencies to build on it even without the law, diba? I mean, that's possible. Sige, yung consensus po, I'll need lang maybe further support in terms of what you mean and the definition of consensus. I think when you talk about consensus, you mean it as a technical term, consensus among the nodes, diba? So if you can just submit that to us. And then yung digital shadowing, yes, I see that that's important kasi baka yung nakikita ng publiko, iba yung numero, iba na yung numero ng treasury. 'Di ba? Sige, we'll try to see how we can look for a solution there, or baka may mga ano tayo every X months nagche-check. Although to be honest, we don't have the treasury data here, no? Treasury data is not here. All we have is disbursement data, no? So can you kindly write that out na lang, Sir Armand, no? So we can consider that. Yes, AJ, and then Ann. Okay.
Yes.
And then si Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I feel out of my depth responding to the technical concerns. I'm here as a budget watchdog, so the end user talaga. I would just like to express some, maybe a little bit concern. I think in general, we really do want to be tech neutral. So I might disagree with some that we might have to specify the specific protocols talaga, or that the...
We can disagree with each other here.
Yeah.
Okay lang naman, ha? Don't
In
don't
fact-
hesitate kasi we're discussing it, no? Yan ang discussion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. In fact, my initial reading is that yung term na digital public ledger system might be too specific rather than too broad pa nga. Parang an open system might be better. In fact, parang reading a digital open system might be better. Reading some of these, I feel like some of the aspects here might de facto lock us into blockchain. Like, is there an alternative that meets these standards that is not blockchain? Because until parang everything that I've heard so far, it seems like blockchain is the only technology that meets these standards right now. So until I hear that there is other technology that might meet these standards, it feels like we're locking into blockchain.
So, question, why not? Considering that that's the gold standard right now for securing documents, decentralized. So, question is, why not?
I think it. So again, I'm not a tech person. I'm coming from more policy background. I think it's very difficult to legislate specific technologies like this. Technology moves faster than legislation, so we're just hesitant. We're not close to the idea, I think, but we're just hesitant that if we lock it into this technology, it might favor certain industry interest. It might favor, the market dynamics, for example, rather than yung end user, which is the budget watchdogs. Na yun talaga yung proponent dapat ng measure.
You're not the end user, ah. The end user is the citizen.
Yes,
So
the
you're here to support the citizens.
Yes.
With regard to understanding the budget
Yes,
better.
correct, yes.
So our end users are the citizens.
Yes.
So just to be clear.
Yes.
But the heaviest user will probably be the budget watchdogs,
Yes.
the academe, media, other possible technology right now. Now, we're keeping it technology neutral because we understand in a year from now or 2 years from now, it may not be the best anymore, or it may not be the gold standard anymore. But currently, that seems to fit the bill in terms of what we want to see. No, but then again, we opened it up to other people to participate to see what will actually fit the bill. Now,
Ten features of the digital platform Cadena already addresses all of the standards and the principles of what we want to do to shed light on the budget cycle. To the point a while ago, on the consensus, there's already the this the redundancy and oversight. So that already addresses. On the protocol, there's programmability. I think because this was sent to us evening of yesterday, probably hindi lang po nakita ng mga iba natin na nakalista lahat, very thorough yung ginawa po ng inyong opisina, Mr. Chair, on laying down all of this principle. Nag-iiba lang yung mga semantics, but actually it addresses the standards that we want to be able to achieve the goal of shedding light to the budget cycle.
Thank you, Anne. But I want to get your opinion on what AJ mentioned. No? Right now, may mga standards tayo. And I think there's consensus on the standards, di ba? The technology that best addresses these standards right now, what are the technologies that best addresses the standards right now? And maybe I'll ask you, Sec Dave, also. Sige, Anne.
So for now, it's a combination of not just blockchain, to be able to shed light and make meaning or make sense out of the data that we will be able to extract from the disclosures of different agencies. It will require other things. Kasi if you just say, okay, blockchain lang, so what now? What if nilagay lang natin yung data? How do you make meaning? How do you shed light and monitor the cycle? It will require interoperability, APIs, AI. So kaya po sinasabi namin, gawin siyang digital platform that allows all of these combinations of technology. Pag sabi po kasi nating immutability, it's not unique to blockchain. There would be other technologies like ImmuDB, Tessera, and others that can address that para po lang maging hindi tayo malimit dun sa ledgering system only.
Currently, nothing in the law limits rin naman to blockchain. But my question is, but definitely, the standards that we want, it does also, like blockchain does allow for these standards to be met.
Yes.
Diba? So, today, maybe not 3 years from now or 5 years from now. So, I guess that's my concern. Eh. So, parang there was some concern about blockchain in general, but maybe there's a misunderstanding about blockchain, maybe because it's closely related to crypto. Maybe that's where some of the concerns come in. But if you really look at it, you can separate the crypto. In fact, we didn't talk about tokenization here. We didn't talk about having stable coins. We're not putting the budget, DOF, we're not putting it on Bitcoin or anything like that. No, we're not. No. So maybe that's where some of the concern comes from. Or maybe some of the concern comes from a lack of understanding of the technology itself. So clearly, I think right now, we're allowing for different technologies to come in. Pero kapag nag-present na yan, the different groups will present their suggestions to the ICT, the best of the best will have to come out. And right now, the technology that fits a lot of this seems to be leaning towards some aspect of blockchain. Is that fair to say, Ano? Yes? Sige, Yusek Dave, can you shed light on this also?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think a lot of words here in the past, if you maybe 15 or 10 years ago, if you mention the word digital ledgering, it will lead to a certain technology. But these are becoming already a general word. You know? So when you mention the word digital ledgering, it's no longer focused on a certain technology. So we can use digital ledgering. Everyone is actually using that now. Even small companies, they have their own ways of doing digital ledgering. I think it's Mr. Chair is very correct that since we are decentralizing this, since we are implementing a hyper ledger, which is one of the concept of blockchain, so once you already have the nodes later on, if DBM has it, the ICT has it, COA has it, once you enter data to their digital ledgering, automatically the other nodes will immediately see it, di ba? So I think wala nang mangyayaring yung worry na baka i-alter, baka ibago, baka i-reprogram, mawawala na po yon. And that's the concept of the blockchain technology. My humble suggestion po para since the beautiful law is already, as mentioned multiple times, that I think we are overthinking on the technicalities of this. The simplicity of the law is very nice. It's so beautiful where people really love this because we are here to create a transparency digital portal where people can now not only see the budget, but they can see even the movement and the statuses of this budget moving forward. Whatever technology we'll be using later on, that's why I was insisting that we can discuss this in the IRR side. Kasi there are technicalities that we could resolve on the IRR. But in the law, per se, the generic way of making the for me na nga ang ganda ng nung latest bill Hindi na ako po actually tatanong masyado na kasi nakita ko yung bill, napaka-generic na po siya So in a way po siguro sa mga technicalities, if may I humbly request po sa mga tech po dito na we can discuss that po sa sa IRR. Thank you.
Yusek Dave, I know that you're also a proponent of blockchain technology, di ba? But baka ang nami-misunderstand ng mga tao na isang kumpanya lang yung nagpapatupad ng blockchain sa Pilipinas. How many companies are, I mean, you have Traction here, you have Bayani Chain here, si Blockchain Council, I'm sure has multiple companies who are implementing blockchain, even SGV has an aspect of blockchain, the World Bank is doing blockchain. How many companies are actually doing blockchain in the Philippines?
Actually, Mr. Chair, ang ganda po ng first suggestion niyo po. If you want, let's make it like a consortium. If you would like us to help the government combine each other's expertise and powers to make this happen, di ba? Siguro baka nagkakaroon ng tama po yung baka po there's a competition between vendors or I think if this is selfless law that this will really heal the Philippines, for me, as a citizen also, I think let's focus on that perspective. That's why let's not act like a vendor perspective here. Kung pwede nga lang, pagtulong-tulungan na lang natin na walang gastos ng gobyerno, why not do it na lang, di ba? So, para sa akin po siguro, let's focus on the intention of the law, which is just to create a real transparency system, the budget, the statuses, the movement of the money, hanggang po ma-release at ma-verify kung totoo o hindi. Let's focus on that po. And the technicalities po, we could discuss that po later on.
Let me go back lang to my question. Kasi I know online nakikita namin may mga concerns o baka kasi ibig sabihin to may isang grupong gagawa nito, 'di ba? But technically, how many companies are in the Philippines that are using blockchain? Hindi lang naman to isa, di ba? O dalawa, right?
Napakadami po to, Mr. Chair. Actually, pati po yung mga individual companies, they are also implementing their own private blockchain na nowadays. Like banks, they're doing that. Financial inclusions, companies, they're also doing their own blockchain. Hindi na po bago po, Hindi na po itong creating an immutable data with hyperledgering system, hindi na po to bago to, maraming gumagawa. So, hindi po, wala pong lock-in actually, in a certain vendor po itong itong, in fact nga, yung suggestion ko nga, para mawala yung agam-agam natin na, baka naman merong nire-ready dyan na, na specific company na gagawa nito, siyang kikita and the like. I think napakaganda po siguro kung mag-consortium. At para sabay-sabay po na magtulong-tulong.
Gambag-gambag tayo, para magawa natin to.
Opo, mas maganda po siguro, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Dr. Villarica?
I think Gail wanted to go first.
Okay, sure. Ladies first. Yes, Gail.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Your Honor, we have a Philippine blockchain report that we released, and based on that, we have roughly 132 to 145 companies in the Philippines that does blockchain. So if you need a copy, we can provide that to you. Thank you, everyone.
You, Gail. Yes, Dr. Villarica.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to mention, so Gail mentioned there's over 100 people or companies that are using blockchain. So I guess we have to also distinguish the difference between those who are using it and those who are building it. So I think there's probably a handful of them. But I think one of the important things to note is that the open source nature of this blockchain. So you can download blockchain. I think USAC Dave talked about Hyperledger, which is an IBM/Oracle thing. So you can download these things. You can customize them to build whatever we need to build for this particular Cadena Act.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Dr. Villarica, let me ask your opinion. So right now, if you look at the standards, are they enough to describe what we want?
Yes, I think we have enough of the standard here to describe exactly what we want to implement for this.
And
yes.
what we're describing is not locked to a particular group or a particular vendor, correct, no?
Correct.
Okay, it is general enough that many groups can participate.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, but it is specific enough that we know what we want. By the way, that is the joy and difficulty of legislation. Kailangan hahanapin mo talaga yung tamang balanse, no? So I think, AJ, yung concerns are addressed by the language, no, first and foremost. And secondly, kung maga-consortium, why not? Why not, di ba? In fact, I think that would be great and a transparent process for everyone to participate. And third, babantayan natin to. Hindi tayo papayag na bigla na lang tong pagkapasa ng batas, makakalimutan natin. Babantayan talaga natin to. And in fact, later on in section, I think 17 or 18, there's an oversight group which includes the chairman of science and technology as part of that oversight group, so we can make sure that we're exercising oversight in the implementation of the law. Okay, sige. Can we go to section 9? Ito, alam ko, this might also be, there's some discussion on this. So go ahead, Jose. Data sovereignty and custodianship.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this section affirms that all fiscal data generated under Cadena belong to the Filipino people. The DICT will act as the primary custodian, ensuring access, data integrity, and long-term preservation of the data. This also means that all data hosting infrastructure must be located within the Philippines, ensuring full domestic control once the system is fully implemented. So that's between 1 to 3 years. And finally, third-party providers may support initial deployment, and they must comply with the Philippine data protection laws, maintain access logs, and guarantee data portability and interoperability.
Okay. We're opening this up for discussion on data sovereignty and hosting. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but si Yusek, Dave, and I, and Sec Henry and I also spoke about this. Right now kasi, we only have basically one government node. Correct, no, Yusek, Dave?
The first node was, ito po yung digital national ID natin, we have the first node.
Yes.
We don't have yet the full blockchain since we only have one node. Our digital national ID, we have 90 million now. So it's sitting in one node now sa DICT. Isa lang po yun. So hindi po ito applicable po dito po sa ginagawa natin, Mr. Chair. Kasi each time that we implement a certain use case sa ating, limbawa, the use case is to make the budget transparent and traceable and the like, we need to create later on another schema for this. So kailangan po natin pong i-align po yung node later on for a certain schema.
So, and since you've read the law, you know the bill, you know that there's phase 1, 2, and 3, di ba? My goal is that by phase 3 is that we will have multiple nodes in the Philippines and multiple government and private sector nodes that can host Cadena. But right now, it's just that we don't have that. Correct, right?
We don't have that, Mr. Chair, but the one that we've done now sa DICT, pati sa DBM, I spoke also to you, Sexasa, we're already aligning. Hindi pa ito pumapasa, Mr. Chair, pero ina-align na po namin ngayon yung mga initial po na nagawa po natin for this, Mr. Chair.
So if you look at the phasing, phase 1, actually technically it's not on the blockchain, it's just really disclosure. Phase 2 and 3, which at least from what we imagine is maybe 2027 na to. So hopefully by that time, makahabol na yung mga nodes natin. We'll have more volunteers to put up nodes, maybe from schools and from media companies and institutions. So we're hoping that, so tumataya tayo na by the time this is fully implemented, we would have enough nodes to host this. So that's basically it. With the understanding that right now, there may not be enough nodes, and without prejudice to different groups doing their own pilots, even if the nodes aren't enough right now in the Philippines. Is that a correct assessment? You can please disagree with me if you want. Attorney Mark, you raised your hand. Or sorry, Yusek Dave and then Attorney Mark.
Mr. Chair, wala pong problema yung nodes po, no? It's not hard actually to build nodes. So I think it's just about creating the schema that will be integrated to multiple nodes later on. So mag-uusap-usap po yan, Mr. Chair. So just to give you also a little bit small, Mr. Chair, nagsimula na po kami ni DBM. So we already conducted and building our own nodes now. So DBM will have their own node. The DICT will have their own node. So that every time that they enter data here, automatic naka-mirror dito sa another node. So in the future, kapag yung gustong gumawa, sumali, let's say the private sector would like to come in, oh, may node din kami. Sasabihin ng another private sector, nakaya din namin yan, or telco, or mga hospital and the like. So all you need to do is align with the schema of the node na meron. I-disclose po yon, naka-open source po yon. Once po na-align po yung node po nila doon, they can now integrate with the chain. So once po they have the nodes already, they can actually create and be part of the chain later on. So pwede po yun, Mr. Chair. Hindi po problema, Mr. Chair, ang pagbibuild ng node. Kaya po natin pong mabilisan no gumawa ng mga nodes natin. Align lang dapat yan sa schema at use case na patutunguhan natin. For this moment, Mr. Chair, napaka-klaro po, no? Napaka-klaro po itong kailangan lang natin po dito is that's the budget. So hindi po mahirap po na gawin agad-agad yung schema for this, Mr. Chair.
Ano yan, Yusek, eh? That's where tech and legislation differ, di ba? Kasi you're saying madali lang, but the truth is wala pa, di ba? So when we legislate this, I'm giving it a time frame, no? Of course, if it can be done earlier, mas maganda. But that's why if you notice, phase 1, which is basically good for a year, is not yet on the blockchain. It doesn't refer to nodes yet. It's just disclosure. Yun pa lang actually, malaking bagay na yan, and it's interoperable, diba? So I'm hoping that maybe by the end of next year, hindi lang DBM and DICT yung may node, other groups who may be listening to us might volunteer to put up nodes. Like I could imagine UP-NCPAG, Ateneo School of Government, GMA 7, ABS-CBN, also wanting to have their nodes where all of this information is available to the public and it's decentralized, no? Para hindi siya mababago ng basta-basta. Sige po, we'll have Attorney Mark, si Prof. Toti, then si Hill.
Mr. Chair, I wanted to raise a point not about the data nodes, but siguro to put on record lang or in the minutes of the possible recognition of this concept called data embassy, Mr. Chair, which was actually raised by the DBM during the second hearing several weeks ago. So
The TWG.
Yeah, sorry, TWG hearing, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry about that. So with on record, for the record lang, Mr. Chair, we're proposing that especially for the pilot phase, we coordinate with third-party providers and home state for the hosting for the hosting infrastructure for the pilot phase to recognize digital embassies. So for the public, Data Embassy is a server location outside the Philippines under Philippine control for data backup and critical services, ensuring digital continuity and security of the physical data covered by this act. So this ensures also data sovereignty and custodianship, Mr. Chair, from day one. So for the record.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone objecting to the concept of digital embassies? Because originally, I know that a number of groups parang were pushing that all the hosting should be done geographically within the Philippines. But again, we're free to, we're having a discussion. It's a hearing. We're supposed to disagree if you want. The concept of a digital embassy, meaning the hosting is abroad but controlled by the Philippines. Yes, Yusek Dave.
Mr. Chair, kaya nga po dun sa, remember when I presented that we have a so-called confidential data and the non-confidential data. Once we already have that, when we launched the eGov chain, the first launching of the first node of the digital national ID, is basically we have the PII data. So the one that's being exposed is a token that will be queried now to multiple financial inclusion, like GCash, Maya, or banks can now query to the national ID. Okay, but there will be no such thing as alteration or ano. But hindi kinakailangan, Mr. Chair, na na kahit sino later on yung mag-handle ng node, as long as ito ay hindi siya PII, at as long as minarkahan ito ng tinatawag na data contributor, na siya ay pwedeng i-expose kahit saan po yan i-store later on. They can have their own node. So tama po si Attorney Mark, no. In fact, even without calling it data embassy, as long as in-expose natin ito, anyone that could have that network of node can actually handle this information later on. Kasi po public data na po siya at hindi po siya PII. As long as hindi siya magkakaroon ng usage for abuse, like yung nakalaan po dun sa data privacy law natin, na pwedeng magamit yung data na yon, may email address, may mobile number, may address ng kanyang tahanan and the like, as long as ito po ay tinatawag, considered po na non-confidential data na pwedeng i-expose kahit saan, wala pong problema po yan kahit saan yung location ng ating data later on, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is anyone objecting to that? Kasi I just want to get a clear understanding of who is for and against this. Sige, sorry, was that Toti then Paul, no?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No objection on that, but I think what should also be discussed on the table is the investment needed to have a data center to accumulate all those information. We're talking here of gigabytes or petabytes of data. Now, when we talk about data centers, we talk about power supply, water, security, etc. And I think the more ideal locations to make it more feasible would be places like Iceland, where temperature is very cold. Now we talk about digital diplomacy or embassy. Maybe we could, if the Philippine government can afford to buy a data center, let's say in Iceland, to own it and run it by the Filipinos, by all means that's tolerable. But if we're going to locate it here, other factors that we consider is the quality of our communication lines to maintain the uptime. So those are the other technical aspects when you talk about digital hosting and sovereignty. And those are the things that probably have not yet been what we term in our old school is capacity planning. It's something that we learned back in the 1970s, which I think should be still present today. And to estimate how much information are we going to store in the years to come. Are we going to keep that? Would that have the historical data going as far as 10 years for academic studies, for academic research? There's a lot of use for data. It's not just one-time use. It's going to be so you just imagine the magnitude of investment that the government will get into. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Prof. Actually, sa totoo lang, this data is not a lot. Hindi siya ganun karami. Hindi talaga siya ganun karami. This one, what we're talking about, yung full digitalization is a lot. But this one is not a lot. No? But yes, we can prepare for that, Paul. But we leave the data centers to the implementers already. Yes, Paul?
Yeah, if we're gonna follow the real blockchain deployment of nodes, just for the public to understand, no, not every node holds data. So we have full nodes, we have validator nodes, which is a full node as well, and we have light nodes, right? So I think, Mr. Chair, this is okay, but we just need to define what are we talking about in terms of data custodial, no? Kasi we have institution, we suggest that because that's data talaga na full, dapat talaga hosted dito. Pero like if light nodes lang naman, like in a way analytics na public naman talaga, for us it doesn't matter. Kasi like for me, if I'm a small business, wala naman akong data center to host a full node, but I just want the reporting mechanism to do it na nagmi-mirror sa akin. So I should be able to host on a foreign cloud kasi mas mura. Something like
AWS or something
AWS,
like that.
Azure, etc. Like what Attorney Mark is saying. Because what we're talking in blockchain is not really data, it's really state, no? It's a deterministic system na all validators are gonna have the same input and the same output and result, but not technically the whole data by itself. So just to para maintindihan lang po ng tao na hindi naman po kailangan na pag full na lahat naka full node, na kailangan i-host yung data natin na buong-buo.
Okay. So, sige, we're running out of time, no? So, I'm gonna just ask for one more na lang. Hil na lang, siguro. Do you agree with the data embassy concept, or do you want all of the nodes here in the Philippines?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yes, I agree with the data embassy concept and related to the data sovereignty. Just add to the discourse we have been discussing and talking about nodes a lot of time. Maybe the public may be confused. Basically, these are just computers or servers where the software is deployed. So I hope you are in the same understanding as that. And in terms of the design, actually, this may be technical, but in terms of participation, say for example, who can participate in the decentralized ledger? Say for example, an ordinary citizen or a public or a company. So this is where data sovereignty becomes an issue. Like for example, I'm a small company and I want to participate in the network of computers, which are the network of nodes. I cannot afford like maybe the specifications of the computer that needs to run that software. So I can just deploy and perhaps afford AWS or Azure, although there are already local zones, but that may be expensive still for now. So that's a point for consideration in terms of like data embassy. So if the servers are located abroad and if it's recognized, it may work well with others that's wanting to participate in the network.
Thank you. Sige, I'll have Sir Mon give the last word on this. So it seems we need to work on this provision a little bit more, but Sir Mon, go ahead.
Thank you. Sinabi mo last word, Mr. Chair. Anyway, I agree with the concept of, the term, the concept of data embassy. Okay, no question about. Ang inaalala ko lang dito is paano yung dating ng mga pinag-uusapan natin ditong terms do sa mga nanonood sa ating milyon-milyon. Okay? Can we just describe the concept in such a way, okay, na madaling maintindihan ng mga tao? Okay.
So,
yun lang po.
Ang tanong po right now kasi is where the data is going to be held, no? And initially, the current provision says it should be here. But then I hear from all of you, and no one naman is objecting, that there has to be some leeway for us to have that data hosted outside of the country, even though it's still under the supervision and control of our country. Now that's what everyone is saying. Anyway, we'll work on this provision with everybody again. We'll try to get comments again. But no one is really objecting to that. The data embassy concept or having a node where your server is a cloud server, which is probably AWS or Azure or whatever. No one's really objecting. Sige, we'll change this and we'll work on it with everybody. Okay, so I gotta go. I'm sorry, no, it's already 12:01. But can everyone just look at sections 10 onwards? So section 10 is the council. It's 4 from government and 3 from the private sector. They're basically the council that is tasked with overseeing the implementation of the act. No? Then we have section 11, which are the functions. You're free, of course, to suggest other functions, but this is pretty pro forma. Section 12 is the implementation timeline. Now, we put this here because it's important to put this here. Because maraming mga batas na walang ganto and it's 7 years later and it's not getting implemented. No? So, we put this here just so that we have expectations. Ang pinakamahalaga for me for Section 12 is really that Phase 1 is done within 2026. And Phase 1, for many of the budget watchdogs here, is really it. No? Kumbaga, this is what they really care about, that all of the documents are online, published, posted, and available to the public in a way that can be analyzed, na hindi siya pang PDF lang, sabi nga ni Ms. Mary Lou, but pwede talagang ma-analisa. At meron ng penalties pagdating sa pagtatago ng mga impormasyon sa publiko. That's Phase 1, no? If we're able to do Phase 1 by 2026, I think we would have succeeded already. Phase 2 and Phase 3 is where the tech comes in and where we secure everything. Papagandahin natin yung UI. Sabi nga ni Prof. Toti, regular Filipino should be able to understand and utilize it better. This is where that comes in. We're giving ourselves also some time to develop that further. Of course, if this can be done all within next year, why not? Diba? Pero nilalagay ko lang yung phasing para we can prioritize. Kasi Phase 1, I think, is really the biggest change management, which is getting all of these agencies to publish and post the information. Eventually, magkaka-protocol, sabi nga ni Paul, where part of the work of procurement, it's already an integrated system where hindi na siya a second step. What I imagine kasi for Phase 1 is that it's a second step right now. They accomplish the procurement, the documents, and then they post. But eventually, kung may protocol na tayo, it's one step and it's automatically shared on Cadena and shared with the public. No? Of course, I've dealt with a lot of tech companies. Puro tech companies po yung kausap ko dito. Everybody promises within 1 year, but we all know it really takes some time, di ba? Natatawa po sila because they know that that's usually how it goes, di ba? So we are putting some timelines here which I think are realistic. Of course, if it can be done faster, why not? No, why not? This doesn't stop also the ICT and current agencies like DPWH from doing the pilots. No, kasi marami po sa mga pilot programs are being done which basically is also this, no? ASIC-MIGI, no? Ginagawa na yung pilot. So we wish you the best with all of these pilots, but at some point, we will all integrate towards this law once it's made, once it's passed. So for Section 12, it's really the phasing of the implementation. If you have suggestions on the phasing, we will accept your suggestions. Kung may mga nais kayong makitang pagbabago dito, we're happy to accept your suggestions. We have a few days until November 12, which is when we plan to sponsor the bill at the plenary. Sections 13 and 14 are pretty much usual provisions lang yan on oversight. Section 15 is the other important one, no? 15 and 16, which basically talks about the administrative and criminal offenses. And para sa akin, isa rin itong mahalagang parte ng batas na kung saan ginagawa nating penalty, no? Nagbibigay tayo ng penalty sa hindi pagsunod dito sa pagpo-post ng information. If you look at what happened sa flood control, it started with the SONA, the president talking about mahiya naman kayo, doon nagsimula. Then he had to publish who are the top contractors. That was news to a lot of people. If this law is passed, we will know who the contractors are. We will know what projects are being done and not being done. We will know magkano ang mga ginagastos sa mga proyektong ito, even up to the magkano yung bakal, magkano yung semento, magkano yung kahoy na ginagamit. And that should be automatically disclosed already to the public. That's really the biggest difference that this law will be able to provide. Then you have, of course, the tech component which secures that data and allows it to be interoperable and analyzed by the public through different APIs and even with artificial intelligence. No, that's really the phase 2 and phase 3 of this law. But if you look at the teeth of the law, ito talaga yon. Kung meron tinatagong dokumento, administrative, kung di siya magawa within 7 days, at magiging criminal kung 30 days na, tinatago pa rin yung mga dokumento. Any citizen can file these cases administratively to the Ombudsman or the Civil Service Commission or even to, and to them also for criminal offenses. No? Correct. The penalty is 6 years and 1 day to 15 years for not disclosing within 30 days. Iba pa kung may nahanapan na fraud yung tinagong dokumento. Kung yung tinagong dokumento may kasamang fraud or pagnanakaw or pagkukubra ng pera ng bayan, pwedeng ma-charge yung responsible officer as a co-conspirator. And that's heavy. Mabigat yon. Mabigat yon. So we're hoping that when this law is passed, it will not only promote the disclosure but also create a new regime where documents that pertain to the people's budget, mga dokumento na naglalaman ng pera ng bayan, pag hindi ito dinidisclose, pwede talagang may maparusahan. Initially, administrative, suspension, reprimand, even dismissal, eventually, and especially if with fraud, even criminal offenses. So mabigat po ito. And it will be up to the citizens to also watch and analyze. And we're hopefully allowing citizens to have all of the tools necessary or to allow them so that the tools that are already available to the public can be used to really analyze the budget further. So even DBM, I think, magbabago yung buhay with this law. Kasi currently, no, ang Kongreso, Senado, and DBM, and even the watchdogs, we have a difficult time analyzing the budget. Napakahaba, napakarami. But once this is interoperable, once we allow technologies to actually look at the data, understand the data, regular citizens, not just watchdogs, will have the power to really understand saan napupunta yung pera ng bayan and eventually to file cases if need be. No? So ano po ito? Malayo pa ito, magsusponsor pa lang tayo, pero mataas po yung pangarap natin sa batas na to, and we're hoping that this will really address some of the problems that we have uncovered here in the Senate and in Congress, and of course na nasa laman ng puso at isipan ng publiko. So that's section 15 and 16. And then the rest are pro forma for laws already, the oversight and and the rest, no? So, maybe kung meron ba ditong, siguro we can have like 1 or 2 people speak kung merong burning comment na gustong ibigay. Anyone? Sige, we'll have AJ, si Yusek Dave, and then si attorney can be our last person, no? Okay? And then, again, hindi naman po ito last time. Pwede pa kayo mag-submit and we will submit again to you the next version. I think we're in version 6 already. So, we'll submit version 7 to you already. And in advance, I'm inviting everyone to please come and support me when I sponsor this on November 12, no? Sa AJ, go ahead. So AJ, Yusek Dave, and then si Attorney Glenn. Attorney Gleam, no? Yes, okay. Go ahead, AJ.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think the penal provisions are one of the most important facets of this bill. So we strongly support this part. We'd like to point out also that some of the data that's here should already be in the general provisions of the GAA laws. So the problem is hindi siya na-implement kasi nga walang pangil yung GAA when it comes to that. So we hope that since the budget process is already in the Senate, that can continue to be brought up. We just want to ask if the current phrasing of the law, yung provisions ng penal provisions, already also includes yung incomplete provision of the data. So for example, baka minimum compliance lang ibigay nila, masabi nila na they published it, but yung standards natin, for example, it might not be as clear. So for example, failure to upload, disclose, or publish the required public budget data, does it necessarily mean that they will upload the file in a format na gusto natin?
I know, because that's the most key, di ba? Yun yung pinakamahalaga. So it's implied, but we can make it explicit. So we'll put as described in this act. No, so we can make it even more explicit.
So I think that's all, Mr. Chair. Despite our concerns on blockchain, I think we appreciate that you're sponsoring a very forward-looking measure, leveraging technology, and I think we're willing to support. We're eager to support anything that pushes for transparency and better accountability by holding government agencies and officials accountable. So maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Yusek Dave.
First, Mr. Chair, I would like to thank you for really spearheading this very impactful and timely law for the full disclosure of government transactions through the establishment of a digital public ledger system to enhance transparency, accountability, and public participation in the Philippine budget. Blockchain creation is not actually expensive, especially for this particular, so there's no business here. Wala pong sabi nga ni Miss Ann, nag-chat nga kami, 50,000 pesos lang, pwede ka nang gumawa ng node eh. Di ba? So, hindi mo kailangan po ng hundreds or million po na pera po dito just to build nodes. Hindi po to, wala pong negosyo pong involved po dito talaga, no? And my humble plea to everyone, since this is already here and this is already, for me, it's an enlightening moment for all of us that we will be helping the Philippines to clean itself. We are all anti-corruption here, and not only for us, but for the next generations to come. I think lahat ng mga expert dito will be conducting po sa DICT ng separate blockchain public consultation. We will invite din po dito. We've been instructed po by our secretary and also Secretary Go and other po secretary to the DICT will conduct po a separate technical working group for blockchain para doon po tayo mag-usap-usap. And again, Mr. Chair, thank you so much. And 100% po, DICT is actually behind you and make this happen as soon as possible, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek. Attorney, you have the last word for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing our organization po. We would like to suggest also in the upcoming bill, in the upcoming law, sir, that Your Honor, that we should also put the evidentiary value po. Because what we have suggested in our position paper that the weight of the Cadena network, the weight of its evidence must be prima facie evidence. Para yun mas mabigat. See, the fact na prima facie po siya, it is valid, but until it has to be disproved. Because nakakalungkot lang pa naman kasi kung may sa batas natin ito, and we are in the scenario of the litigation na po, na masascot-free lang dahil na-technical na naman po tayo. It is very saddening po. Then, also, Your Honor, just to think also that this is very beautiful. It is a delicate balance between the concept of technology neutrality also. Actually po kasi yung concept po ng technology neutrality, It is a very, hindi lang siya vague, it's a nebulous concept. Even for us lawyers, even when I was studying technology, napaka-ano po niyan, napakahirap intindihin yan actually. And it is also rarely discussed even in the academy, even in law school actually. That's why to help the good sponsor of this bill, we will be submitting a position paper on how to address this concept of technology neutrality and its alternative, and also the alternatives to it. And also yung sa ano po, just to educate the public then. Yes, the blockchain technology is conceptualized in the 90s, but is what they teach exclusively to my lawyer students in the MCLC. Yung concept po ng consensus, it was already been conceptualized 1,000 years ago actually. If you have the luxury, you can, the living proof of this is you visit the Yap Island in Micronesia. There, doon nyo po madidiscover yung paano po na-conceptualize yung pinakaunang konsepto ng distributed ledger. Yung sa Yap Island, yun po yung nandun po makikita nyo yung history po talaga nung paano na-conceptualize yung tinatawag yung distributed ledger na naging blockchain po. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney. Request ko lang is your position paper, please refer to the provisions, meaning mag-direct suggestions na kayo rather than a position paper kasi nebulous na nga yung concept, baka nebulous rin yung
Yes,
position
Your Honor.
paper ninyo. So,
because baka
let's
doon
be
po
specific.
tayo dalihin nung sa interpellation.
Oo. And I appreciate the perspective on the litigation. So thank you for that, no? Kasi we didn't have that really in mind when we crafted the law. So that input would be very important, no? Salamat. Okay, si Ann, nag-request, please. So Ann, quickly na lang. Thank you.
1 minute support statement, Mr. Chair. Transparency is the strongest antidote to corruption. Kaya napakaganda po ng bill na inahin po ninyo this morning. Bawat pisong galing sa buwis ng taong bayan ay dapat nasusundan mula sa pagkakalaan nito sa budget hanggang sa huling disbursement. Pero yung totoo, marami pa ring impormasyon tungkol sa paggastos ng gobyerno ang hiwa-hiwalay. Dahil dito, nagkakaroon ng kalabuan, maling paggamit ng pondo, at iba pa. Sa huli, Mr. Chair, ang Cadena Act na hinain niyo po ay magbibigay daan sa unang real-time, citizen verifiable budget transparency system sa bansa. Hindi lang ito tungkol sa data, ito ay tungkol sa tiwala. Tiwala ng taong bayan na ang pera ng bayan ay ginagamit sa tama at may saysay sa bawat pisong ginagastos. Para sa ating mga mambabatas, we are challenging you to make things right. Kung gusto nating maitama ang mali sa gobyerno, ipasa po natin ang Cadena Act. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Ann. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. Maraming salamat. Thank you for all of your inputs. Sa mga tao pong nanonood, alam niyo po, hindi lang during the hearings nagtatrabaho yung mga tao. Everyone is helping the TWG, providing position papers, nagtatawag, nagsisend ng mga dokumento, and we'd like to thank everyone. Alam niyo po, ang Cadena Act, no? For me, nagsisimula talaga to sa FOI, sa Freedom of Information, no? Matagal na pong sinusulong 'yan. In fact, even as we speak, merong FOI bill na nakahain ngayon sa Senado. But the FOI bill, which basically mandated agencies to respond when queried, pag tiyatanong, kailangan magresponde, at some point, naging full disclosure bill po yun, na kung saan sana yung mga ahensya, malaya na lang na magbibigay ng kanilang datos sa publiko. Yung konsepto pong iyon, yung full disclosure, naging blockchain the budget, na yung unang version po natin, at ngayon po na marami na po nagkomento, si blockchain the budget, ngayon po ay Cadena Act na yung tawag natin, no? So, nagbabago po yung versions na hinahanap po natin, pero iisa pa rin yung konsepto, na ang pera ng bayan dapat pinapangalagaan. Ang pera ng bayan, hindi dapat ninanakaw, dapat napupunta sa tama. Yung pera ng bayan, may karapatan ng bawat mamamayan na malaman kung saan napupunta yung perang pinaghirapan at buwis na binibigay buwan-buwan. At habang tayo'y nagbabayad ng buwis, karapatan natin na malaman kung saan napupunta yung pera. Yung mga investigasyon po dito, sa totoo lang po, yung punot dulo ng lahat ng yan, nangyayari yung korupsyon kapag walang transparency. Kapag natatago ang lagay sa bill of materials, Kapag naluluto yung mga bidding, dahil yung mga contractor pare-parehas lang naman, at iisang kumpanya lang, kahit 8 sila magbibid, isang tao lang pala yan, o di kaya, kung ilalabas lang yung mga papeles, malinaw naman na meron talagang overpricing na nangyayari. Lahat pong yan, sana matitigil o hindi man mababawasan, sana kapag yung mga dokumento alam ng publiko. Kapag yung datos nandyan, nakikita ng taong bayan, yan po talaga yung isang malaking deterrent sa korupsyon sa ating bansa. Dahil lahat ng mga, itong mga investigations, flood control, lahat pong yan, all of that could have been stopped if all of these documents were made public at may nakabantay. No? Ngayon po, ang hangarin natin sa Cadena Act, nakakadena yung budget ng taong bayan. Yung people's budget nakakadena siya, nakalock siya. No, hindi madaling magamit lang basta-basta. It's now available with the law. When this becomes law, it will be available to the public at hindi lang sa mga PDF na binanggit ni Ms. Marilu ng Insight Gov na napakahirap intindihin, pero nasa lingwahe na kung saan kaya siyang ma-analyze, kaya siyang magamitan ng iba't ibang teknolohiya para mas maintindihan. Sabi ko nga noong unang hearing, pwede tayo magka-alert kapag mayroong proyekto na kung saan yung presyo ng bakal at presyo ng semento mas mataas sa hardware store, pwede mag-alert na kaagad. Pwede tayo gumawa ng mga programa na naka-alert kaagad yon. Naka-alert sa COA, naka-alert sa DBM, naka-alert sa mga watchdog, naka-alert sa media. As it's happening real time, malalaman ng taong bayan kung may mga overpriced na mga proyekto. Can you imagine, ganung level of technology ang meron na sa ating kamay ngayon? So ako rin po, I also invite everyone, huwag tayong matakot sa teknolohiya. Gamitin natin yung teknolohiya para sa taong bayan. We can use the right technology, of course, at the right price, no? Yung tamang teknolohiya, sa tamang panahon, sa tamang presyo, para matugunan natin yung mga problema natin. Huwag tayong matakot sa teknolohiya. These technologies have been here for years. Maraming practitioners sa Pilipinas na magagaling at mabubuting tao at nagnanais ng maganda rin sa ating bansa. Pagsama natin yung tech sector na marami po nandito, yung mga watchdogs na marami rin po dito, akadema at mga media, pagsama natin sila, let's all come together and propose a solution to the problems that we've been seeing in our country. Sa totoo lang, dekada-dekada na rin yung mga problemang ito. We're hoping for a lasting solution. But bilang panghuli, gusto ko rin pong sabihin, hindi ho natin to papakawalan. Kumbaga, if we're able to pass this law early 2026, napakabilis po niyan. Pero kung mapasa po natin yan, di tayo titigil. We will make sure that we exercise oversight function to make sure that it's implemented properly, it's funded properly, and yung phase 1, uulitin ko po, yung phase 1, napakahalaga. Bantayan natin na mangyari yung phase 1. Yung phase 1 is within 9 months from the passage of the law, nakapublish na yung mga dokumentong nakalista sa Section 5 na napakarami at doon po nilalaman yung mga dokumento na kung saan tinatago yung pagnanakaw sa ating bansa. So dyan po napakahalaga and kailangan natin bantayan hanggang phase 1 and then phase 2 and phase 3, dyan na po papasok ang DICT at iba pang mga tech companies dito. Siguraduhin natin na meron tayong magandang good way to contain the data in a decentralized, tamper-proof, tamper-evident, digitally verifiable at ang mga terms na ito, natutunan ko po yan sa inyo, interoperable way na kung saan magagamit po yung data ng taong bayan at ng iba't ibang grupo. And that's really the goal. And, you know, ako po, I'm still optimistic if we can get this passed and implemented properly in 2 to 3 years, nakikita po natin isang malaking pagbabago pagdating sa paghawak ng pera ng bayan. And I'm happy that DBM is here. No? DICT is here. Nauuna na yung DPWH kasi ito po talaga yung tawag ng panahon. This is what the people require of government, no? Na makita natin yung mga pagbabago at makita natin na mas transparent talaga tayo pagdating sa perang pinaghihirapan ng mga kababayan natin. So thank you again. This is not the last time we will see each other. I hope you will join me when I sponsor this on November 12. We will, of course, welcome all of the suggestions. We hope to improve this bill even further. And for now, we are adjourning this hearing. The hearing is adjourned. Maraming salamat po and thank you so much for helping us today.